I'm Ann Simmons in the newsroom of the Los Angeles Times. A year has passed since the lone gunman barged into a cinema in Aurora, Colorado and sprayed moviegoers with bullets. James Holmes is accused of killing 12 people and injuring dozens of others. He is expected to go to trial next year. The tragedy shocked the nation and reignited the debate over ownership of firearms and access to guns for those with mental illness. Other gun-related tragedies during the past 12 months have added fuel to the gun control debate. They include the fatal shooting of 6 people at a Sikh temple in Wisconsin, the massacre of 26 people at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut, most of them children, and a shooting rampage at Santa Monica College in June that left 5 people dead. Joining me to talk about the course of the gun control debate a year after the shooting in Aurora, Colorado, is Times staff writer Mark Barabak, who is based in our San Francisco bureau. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Ann.
Mark, tell us first of all, what type of legislation has been introduced since Aurora, and why has it been so difficult to get any kind of movement on gun control?
Well, you really need to talk about the gun issue on 2 tracks. There's what's happened, or perhaps more accurately, what has not happened in Washington, D.C. And there's been a great deal of activity at the state level. Some states have passed gun laws making it tougher. Other states have loosened restrictions on guns. I think what's notable is that Congress, in taking up legislation, is actually addressing the issue for the first time in a couple decades. But you haven't seen a lot of movement on the federal level because guns very much comes down to a question, the gun issue very much comes down to a question of intensity. It is an issue that a great many people care about, but the people who care the most about it, seemingly, are the people who are opposed to further gun restrictions or, as they would tell you, are in favor of gun rights. It comes down to intensity, and the people who are concerned about gun rights tend to vote and be more active than the folks who are in support of gun control.
Well, tell us about the state level. If not at the federal level, at the state level, has there been a greater movement in states, for example, that have suffered tragedies like California, Connecticut?
Well, sure, and Colorado notably passed some very significant gun control legislation. What you tend to see is states that have had strong gun controls have made them stronger, places like California. And as you suggest, there are places like Connecticut, like Colorado, that were the scene of these tragedies that have enacted tougher gun laws. But there's also a very strong correlation between partisan control. What you tend to find are states with Republican governors or Republican governors and Republican legislatures have actually moved to make it easier to own and to possess a gun, and states have Democratic governors or Democratic legislatures like Connecticut, like California, have stiffened their laws. So what you're seeing really is sort of a checkerboard pattern, if you will. You have states almost side by side sometimes that have very different gun laws as a result, as I suggested, of the partisan makeup of the state house and who's controlling the governorship.
Now, is there any indication that the fact that there are some who are trying to clamp down on gun ownership has actually spurred this desire to own guns?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the numbers are there. You've seen with the election of President Obama, even before any of these tragedies had happened, with the election of President Obama, you saw a rush, an assumption that with a Democratic president there would be efforts to tighten gun laws, and you saw a tremendous rush to buy guns, to buy ammunition, and once more you saw the same thing happen after Newtown, after Aurora, after these shootings. When you see a movement for tougher gun controls, you see people who want to go out and go out and buy guns, go out and buy ammunitions on the theory that perhaps these may not be available in the future.
And has there been a backlash of any kind towards lawmakers who are trying to enforce stricter gun control?
There certainly has been, Colorado being perhaps the best example. There's an effort underway to recall 2 state lawmakers. It's an unprecedented effort in the history of Colorado, the first time in over a century since they've had the recall law. You have a movement afoot to recall a state senator and then the president of the state senate. And I can tell you, having been there and spoken with both sides, Both sides will tell you that they see this as a referendum on gun control. Both sides say they see this having an impact nationally. As the president of the state Senate told me, if you can take out the president of the state Senate in Colorado, it's going to have a chilling effect across the country. The other side agreed. They said, we're trying to send a message here that we want our guns. We are strong in our demand for Second Amendment protections. And if you, in our view, impede those rights, we're going to come after you.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your insight today. This is certainly a debate that we're going to be following.
Thanks, Ann.
For more on this and other stories, please go to latimes.com. Thank you, Mark.